There are movies that entertain you, and then there are movies that grab you by the collar, scream in your face, and change the game forever. In 2002, Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later did just that. It didn't just give us fast zombies, it injected pure, undiluted rage directly into the heart of the horror genre, creating a legacy that has influenced everything from The Walking Dead to The Last of Us. Now, after years of waiting, the story continues with 28 years later. It's a film that not only builds on the terrifying world we know, but expands it in ways that are both brilliant and deeply unsettling. It's a coming-of-age story wrapped in an apocalypse, a philosophical debate about humanity held in the ruins of England, and it all leads to an ending so buck wild it will leave your jaw on the floor. Today we're unpacking every single detail. We're breaking down the evolved infected, explaining the shocking final scenes, and revealing all the Easter eggs you might have missed. This is your full breakdown of 28 years later. The world that was. The film opens not with a bang, but with the eerie, familiar comfort of the Teletubbies playing on an old, boxy television. It's a genius move. Instantly, we are transported back to 2002, the year the first film was released. The world of these survivors is a world frozen in time, a cultural wasteland where progress died the day the rage virus was unleashed. As a young boy named Jimmy watches the screen, the innocent sounds of the TV are drowned out by air raid sirens and chaos. Those sirens, first installed in England to warn of Nazi attacks during World War II, are now heralding a new, endless war against an enemy within. For the first time on film, we are witnessing the initial, horrifying hours of the outbreak. The infected pour into the streets, but they're not just raging, they're vomiting blood. This isn't just for shock value, it's a crucial piece of lore. The infected aren't technically zombies, which are reanimated corpses. They are living people infected with a lab-made virus. Scientists trying to cure rage genetically engineered a virus to be the carrier for their cure. And in a moment of spectacular scientific stupidity, they used Ebola as the base. The virus mutated, and instead of curing rage, it created uncontrollable rage monsters, while also triggering the hemorrhagic fever symptoms of Ebola. That's why they vomit blood and why their eyes turn red. The capillaries have burst. Jimmy flees the carnage, taking refuge in a church, only to find it's already been overrun by the damned. A direct, chilling callback to the first place Jim visited after waking up in 28 Days Later. The message is clear. In this new world, nothing is sacred. The Children of War. We flash forward 28 years. England has been abandoned, left to rot by the outside world, with both it and Ireland under a strict quarantine. We meet Spike, a young boy living in a survivor community on Holy Island. His room is a museum of the past, with a Power Ranger action figure sitting on his shelf. Another relic of a childhood that ended in 2002. He picks it up and puts it down, a quiet symbol of him leaving his own childhood behind. His community is essentially a militaristic state. Everything is rationed, and they live under constant wartime conditions. Here, survival is paramount, and violence is not just a necessity, it's celebrated. As Spike and his father Hamey prepare to go on a hunt on the mainland, we hear a haunting recitation of Rudyard Kipling's poem Boots, a piece inspired by the monotonous, soul-crushing marching of soldiers. The poem is intercut with flashes of war footage, kids playing at being soldiers, medieval battles, and even sniper footage taken directly from 28 weeks later. It's all meant to show us the toxic ideology of this island. They have exalted their hunters into heroes to the point that children dream of their first kill. But as Spike is about to learn, the reality of warfare is nothing like the stories. A Brave New Apocalypse. Once on the mainland, the film's visual style pays homage to its roots. The cinematography uses grainy textures and chromatic aberration to mimic the distinct lo-fi look of the Canon XL1 camera that gave the first film its iconic feel. In a brilliant modern twist, much of this new movie was actually shot on an iPhone, proving that practicality and a raw, handheld feel are still at the heart of the franchise's DNA. This new world is populated by a new kind of infected. The virus has mutated to survive. The infected have learned to hunt animals now that their human food source has dwindled. They've also evolved different forms. There are now fat, slow ones, a brilliant nod to the classic shambling zombies of George Romero films, which were a huge inspiration for the original. These new infected conserve energy, a direct evolutionary response to the first wave, who burned themselves out so quickly. We also see a terrifying alpha infected infected, a hulking monster created when the virus acted like a steroid. But the infected aren't the only monsters. Spike and Jamie find a house containing the corpse of a man with the name Jimmy carved into him, the little boy from the opening scene. This is our first glimpse of the other survivors on the mainland, and it confirms the series' bleakest theme. As monstrous as the infected are, the real evil often lies within the hearts of uninfected people. The Doctor and the Cathedral of Bone. The story truly kicks into gear when we learn Spike's mother, Isla, is dying of cancer. In a desperate, childish plan, Spike decides to take her on one last trip to the mainland. Their journey leads them to an encounter with Dr. Kelson, played by the great Ralph Fiennes. Kelson is a scientist who, unlike the residents of Holy Island, doesn't see the infected as monsters to be hunted, but as sick people deserving of compassion. His worldview is made manifest in his home, the Bone Temple. It's a hauntingly beautiful cathedral made from the bones of the dead. He isn't just disposing of bodies, he's memorializing them, giving them the funeral rites that make us human. While Holy Island is surrounded by life but celebrates violence, Kelson is surrounded by death but celebrates the sanctity of life. It's here we get a major scientific reveal. They discover an infected mother who has given birth to a perfectly healthy baby. Dr. Kelson explains the miracles of the placenta. A mother and fetus have separate circulatory systems, and the placenta acts as a perfect barrier, ensuring the virus in the mother's blood can never reach the child. It's a moment of scientific hope in a world defined by biological terror. Ending explained: The Boy and the Cult. The climax of Spike's journey has nothing to do with killing an alpha or surviving a horde. His true coming-of-age moment arrives when his mother finally succumbs to her cancer, and he lays her to rest. He was taught by his community that violence and killing are what make a man. But in this quiet, heartbreaking act of love and respect for a natural death, he truly grows up. He has left the war games of his childhood behind. And then, just as we process this poignant conclusion, the film hits us with one of the most insane tonal shifts in recent memory. We are introduced to an adult Jimmy, the boy from the opening scene. He's wearing a tiara and leading a cult of acrobatic, giggling man-children who seem to treat the apocalypse like a playground. So what is going on here? This is the film's brilliant, terrifying final statement on trauma. While Spike grew up in a relatively safe, structured environment and was able to mature, Jimmy had his childhood violently ripped away from him at age 7. As a result, he is permanently emotionally stuck at that age. He and his crew dress like toddlers who raided their parents' closets and are so desensitized to the horror around them that they view extreme violence as a video game, inconsequential and entertaining. He even wears his father's cross, but flipped upside down, signifying his complete inversion of the values he was taught. He is the monster that the apocalypse created, not through infection, but through trauma. What's next? The return of Jim. This shocking reveal perfectly sets the stage for the next film in the trilogy, the already filmed The Bone Temple. While that film has a new director, Nia DaCosta, the big news is the confirmed return of Cillian Murphy as Jim, the protagonist from the very first movie. We haven't seen him since 2002, and we have no idea what he's been doing for the last 28 years. Clues may lie in the movie's viral marketing website, Rage Leaks. The site is based on the idea that world governments are covering up the truth about the outbreak and the survivors left behind. The anonymous author of the leaks is confirmed to be from the quarantine zone. Given that Jim is canonically Irish, the fact that Ireland was included in the quarantine zone might be a personal motivator for him. It's entirely plausible that Jim escaped the UK years ago and has since been horrified by the world's decision to abandon his home. He could be the one leaking files, including pictures of the Bone Temple, in a desperate attempt to expose the conspiracy and force the world to help those left behind. This sets up a fascinating potential conflict for the sequel, Jim, the original survivor, returning to the island only to find a new generation of horrors, both infected and human, waiting for him. 28 years later is a brutal, intelligent, and surprisingly emotional return to one of horror's most important franchises. It respects the past while pushing the story into terrifying new territory. What did you think of the film? Did we miss any crucial details? Let us know your theories down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more movie and TV show deep dives. Thanks for watching.